Hello everyone. This is How Big Is Your Universe channel. In the last episode, we covered a quick overview of string theory and Yogacara Buddhism, after which it was shown that string theory is a mathematical version of Yogacara Buddhism. Due to time constraint, we have not covered the further insights and implications of string theory, which is the mathematics of Yogacara Buddhism. It is a prerequisite for viewers to go through the previous episode. The link is provided in the title of this video channel. Before we proceed, let's do a summary overview. The diagram on the left is drawn after 1995, which shows dualities among 5 superstrings and M theory. 68 years before, there was a diagram drawn in 1927 for Yogacara Buddhism which shows dualities of 5 effects and 8th consciousness. This is undeniable evidence among many that string theory is describing Yogacara Buddhism, but both use completely different terms. This table shows the different terms used by both string theory and Yogacara Buddhism covered in the last episode. String theory calls strings vibrating in 6 extra dimensions, where Yogacara Buddhism calls seeds of first 6 consciousness. 5 superstrings are called 5 effects. M theory with 11th dimension is called 8th consciousness. F theory with 12th dimension is called 7th consciousness. 6 extra dimensions are called first 6 consciousness. Dualities among the above are said to arise from effects as causes, through different cause conditions, become different effects. Total of 8 extra dimensions and 8 consciousness. 22 extra dimensions in bosonic string. In heterotic strings are 22 indriyas in superior conditions. Type 2b string appears in F theory, or antifolding, add CFT correspondence, and used in black hole physics is the effect of same order, which comes from direct cause, which is the most important. Black holes are form beings at the 4th jhana. Anthropic principle is about the beings in the 3 realms. Parallel universes are the infinite conscious beings. Hologram are called the 12 ayatana or dhatus. Brains and strings on brains are about the visual and image functions of consciousness. Add CFT correspondence is about 8th consciousness functions in creating an inner body and an external world. String theorists can't explain concepts shown here. This diagram shows string theory is 100% mathematical version of Yogacara Buddhism. Not only all string mathematical conjectures and objects are essential components of Yogacara Buddhism, but they also match structurally to what Yogacara Buddhism describes, except one has to understand string theory from the perspective of Yogacara Buddhism. All these cannot be all coincidences. We shall see there are more. Many scholars think of Yogacara Buddhism as a philosophy, but as shown, it is more advanced than current science. Coincidentally, many thinkers, philosophers and even prominent physicists, are talking about consciousness and theories on consciousness. This table shows what Yogacara Buddhism is relative to some of the popular thoughts. Though Yogacara Buddhism posits that everything one experiences are all projections of one's own heart, or 8th consciousness, which is like a kind of idealism, but there are elements of co-creation and co-projection as explained in the last episode on shared and non-shared. Therefore, it is not entirely idealism. Not everything is conscious in Yogacara Buddhism. For example, plants and matter are not conscious. But the entire universe is filled with conscious beings in the concept described in the 3 realms. There are many to infinite form and formless conscious beings in the universe. In some way Yogacara Buddhism is dualism, as so long as there is a mind or 6th mind consciousness, there will be matter. Even the formless conscious beings which are not supposed to have matter, but according to Mahayana Buddhism, they still have mind and hence remnants of matter. This was mentioned in the last episode. It is also about information and mathematics, but information is a passive element and mathematics are just rules. There are hidden active elements which are the indriyas, where consciousness arises from dhatus or the 12 ayatana. This was also discussed in the last episode. It is also about simulation, except that there is no computer simulation but self-simulation with each own's heart, or 8th consciousness. Now, we are ready to tackle the concept of space-time. What is spacetime is still being debated today. Newton told us spacetime was absolute, but 300 years later Einstein showed us that spacetime is relative. When we come to string theory, spacetime is emergent. We learned in the last episode, in Yogacara Buddhism, spacetime belongs to a category of laws called non-interactive, which are fake laws. Spacetime is said to be the differentiation amongst the five aggregates, which are consciousness, mental formations, sensations, perceptions, and forms. As the five aggregates with its leading aggregates of consciousness arise from seeds, hence, spacetime is the results of interactions of seeds. In string theory, it's almost as if the space and time dimensions of the universe are a backdrop to the interactions of strings, with no real meaning on their own. String theorists have caught up in the understanding of what space-time is. So, as what David Gross likes to say, space-time is doomed. Now, let's move on further with superspace, extra dimensions, and ordinary space-time. Let us first listen to David Gross.
But I want you to remember that when you read in the paper that physicists at CERN have, if they announce they've discovered something which looks like what theorists tell them might be supersymmetry, what they're really discovering is quantum dimensions of space-time. It will be correct to say then, in fact, it would be incorrect not to say that we don't live in ordinary space-time, but we live in superspace. The fact that you aren't aware of these extra dimensions begs the question, how are you aware of the ordinary dimensions? Space-time, I'll remind you, is a mental construct. You don't feel space-time. You don't see space-time. You have, as an infant, somehow, miraculously, while your brain was developing, constructed a model of physical reality that placed it in space and in time. But it's only a model constructed by biological.
Notice that Gross said, 1. We don't live in ordinary spacetime, but we live in superspace. 2. Ordinary spacetime is a mental construct. 3. The fact that you are unaware of these extra dimensions beg the question, how are you aware of the ordinary dimensions? So, the next question is, what is real or fake? Yogacara Buddhism is also often called consciousness only or mind only. The reason being, all that happen in the phenomena space are fake or not real. What really exists are each owns consciousness in understanding them. It is not so easy to understand this concept. But in the last episode, it was repeatedly mentioned that consciousness in Yogacara Buddhism are more like energies, or as described, more like motherboard design with processor chips with interconnectivities. So, let us use computer as example. All the images that are shown on the screens are not real, the real ones are the computer and its motherboard, and of course its screen. Therefore, Yogacara Buddhism is called consciousness only or mind only. On the contrary, string theorists or physicists are more interested in the phenomena space with ordinary spacetime, gravity, quantum theories, and particles physics. To them these are their goals or real. These to Yogacara Buddhism are like what are shown on the computer screen, which are fake. They don't know what extra dimensions, nor the brains are. They only use them as tools. To refresh our memory, the apple that Anne sees are not the actual apple in the projection, but the apple is Anne's image function of her eye consciousness, that is being interacted by Anne's visual function of her eye consciousness. This is what Gross said, we don't live in ordinary space-time, but we live in superspace, and the fact that we are unaware of these extra dimensions beg the question, how are you aware of the ordinary dimensions? So, Gross realizes what is taught in Yogacara Buddhism, but Gross's view here might not represent the view of the string community. We will be talking about why all that happen in the phenomena space is fake, or not real, in the next episode, under the topic of metaverse nature of reality. We will also go through the paradigm shifts required, after each time theories are unified. Historically, Past unification has been small steps, but the step brought about by string theory is just too huge to be handled by physicists. The hardest question is there still general relativity and quantum mechanics after unification brought about by string theory? Newtonian gravity is still being used to launch rocket, even we know for sure spacetime is not absolute. General relativity will still be used for study of the universe at large scale, but including quantum mechanics, there are deeper meaning and implications with string theory. We shall cover the above in part 2. Thanks for watching.